Good Saturday morning, my friends. I'm Nu-Trix, and this morning I'm actually going to operate my Jupiter XM. What I'm going to dive into today is the fact that they have a new firmware update, the 3.0. Now, if we go online and we read what they're talking about, the latest 3.0 now has a new model Jupiter X as a synthesizer. It's a model that used the Jupiter 8 as a kind of basis of synthesis, and it's designed to achieve the ideal analog synthesizer configuration. So I'm really curious to see what that means and how Roland did approach this. 4 oscillators, 7 type of waveform selection, implementation of oscillator pan and oscillator delay, and more. Now, we all understand that marketing wants to hype stuff up. The real question is, how does it sound and what controls do we actually have? So let's actually hear and go do a tour of what this does. But the first thing we have to do is to upgrade. So I'm going to start by doing the firmware update for those who don't know how to do it. If you want to skip ahead a bit later in the video and look at the sound itself and listen to the sound and the new features, because it's not just the sound, the new model, there's also update on the arpeggio. So let's actually dive in. Let's go. So first of all, we need to actually download this. So we're going to go into the download window. So where's the download? You to the bottom of the page, you click I agree, and you download the file. Now, I went a little bit fast. I'm going to have the zip file for this, but if you go a bit higher, you've got the procedure here. So you copy it to a USB disk and to the root directory, and then you go to your Jupiter. So I'm just going to take out my USB disk. I have an old Xserve server from Apple that doesn't work anymore, and I use the tray of the hard drive to put my disk and little accessories. So it's my little drawer of things. It's actually parts of a server. One thing that Roland has always told me when I had problem updating, and I found also on my side other reason why I had problem. First thing, you should take an empty USB stick and format it with the Jupiter XM. So you're sure you have the right format so the Jupiter can read it. It doesn't have to be, but if you have a problem, check that out, format it using the Jupiter XM, and you should have the right format right away. The second problem I had, and this is my fault, I did it often, when I put the USB disk in it, I don't put it to the extent, the full, insertion of it. So I thought it was in, I couldn't read it, and I'm like, it doesn't work, couldn't read it, took it out, took it back in, but I had to push it a little bit further so it actually connects to it. And that little that little space of more pushing in actually made it work. So the connection was not good. So I felt it was okay, but it didn't see it. So take it out slowly, put it back in with, be careful that it goes to the full extent that it should go in. And then you should see it. You should see it appear if it's formatted in the right format. Jupiter X, you see, that one was already formatted Jupiter X. So this one, and that's an example of something that was formatted by the Jupiter itself. They formatted with the name of the device. So I know when this is in the right format. And I add the vocal designer on this one. So I know this one works. So I'm just going to basically go back to the zip. So I need to open the zip file. And I'm going to get a Jupiter here. And this is the bin. That's the one I need to put in. Put that directly in the first level. So right there, not in the Roland folder, because the Roland folder will be for file, patches, sounds, stuff like that. Right away, what I want to take this, put it in, and that's going to be there. Not move it from that point. So it's saved. Now I'm going to take it back. I'm going to take it out, put it at the back. You see, that's what I was talking about. This here, I often put it to this, and I need to go to the maximum, It's kind of stupid, but it was one of the problems I had. That's it. Right now, you just need to hold down the function and turn on the power. So I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to press function here, turn on, and you have Jupiter Updater. It's going through the whole process. If you want to see here, see, it goes through the process of updating. Now it's erasing something, and now there's progression on how it's going to be updating something. So just let it do its job. I don't know how long it's going to take. So while you do that, you can grab a coffee in your favorite mug. Okay, now please turn off, power off. So power off. I'm going to pull the USB stick out. And I'm going to turn that back on. Now if I go into menu, oh, even the menu has changed. I've got to show you this. There's that nice flow of moving sounds. This is really interesting. One finger film. It's very interesting. I like it. Very rich pads. So you have a noise that comes later on. That's what you have here. Lower parts. Big swell. Okay. All of them are really rich sound. They're really cool. Okay, how many of them do they have? Just for the fun of it. Okay, 158. They have these noise. Not noise, but I don't want any effects. On the original sound. It's a filter pattern. Interesting. And if I press enter, what do we have here? We have, if you're in parts, you can edit the 4 parts. No, that's not what I want. I want to go into the, what else do we have here? So the pluck, delay pluck, we have a poly mode, unison, detune, porta time, curve, bending. Well, what's new? Okay, condition. You have the frequency, the filter. You have 12. Okay, so we've got -12, -18, -24. Now keep in mind this is interesting because usually you have -12 and -24. And -18, you know what it is? -18 was the choice for the TB-303. So I don't know how close to the sound of the TB is, but already you have a filter that is with the slope of a TB. So it's interesting. I'm going to have to pick a better sound than that to hear what I'm doing. Single tone. I'm going to enter up here. I want to choose the model here. I'm going to go to the Jupiter X. That's what I want to hear. Oh, this is interesting. I'm turning off every effect. You go, okay, well, how does this work? Because right now, there's no arpeggiator on this. So we hear 4 different notes, dum, da, dum, dum. And they sound different. So if you go menu for this one, edit, tone edit, what do we have? We have the condition, mod sense, bending, key mode. I'm going to exit. I'm going to go to single. Yes, I want to go into single. Here we go. So we have the LFO here. You have the categories. Okay, everything we just talked about here, the bend range, the LFO rate, all that stuff. Oscillator. Now they say we have more than one. So square, sawtooth, triangular, sine, Juno. Okay, you have a Juno sound. Supersaw. A noise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's 7. Okay. I'm gonna have to look at the supersaw and the Juno itself alone. But now, let's just understand why we have these 4 playing, which is pretty interesting in my view. We have the pulse width for each of the, if you want to use it, the delay time for oscillator 1, the panning for oscillator 1. You see there's alternate panning. So the first oscillator is a saw. The second one is the Juno, 12 under. You have it here. The delay time, there's none. Sync. So it's oscillator synced to a quarter note. That's why it appears later on, I guess. Pan is 0. Alternative pan is at 25. Third note is a Juno plus 7. So you hear that note playing. Level is, there's a pulse width on this one. The delay sync is at a quarter note dotted. Alternative 25 left. Then the last one is a triangular waveform, chorus tune of plus 19, which is an octave and 7 semitone higher. And this one, the pulse manual, and the delay note is a dotted half note. So I think that's what gives you that different timing for each of them. And just to be sure, let's actually turn that off. The last one, ta, was already the first one. I turn it back on. So you have already kind of an arpeggio here with just the original 4 oscillators, and you have 4 of them, which is not the case in the Juno, or well, in the Jupiter you have not 4, you have 2, now 4 of them. So this is pretty interesting. For what I understand, they kind of got the sounds of the Juno and the Jupiter inside a model of a Jupiter XM, and then expanded, because the Jupiter is using the Zenology or ZenCore technology, and the ZenCore permits 4 layers, so why not use it? So they kind of they went that way to have the whole thing playing, which is pretty interesting. And you have the X mod between 1 and 2, and X mod or cross modulation between 3 and 4. And what are these? Oh, sync. You can turn on the sync or the ring modulation or the cross modulation. This is super powerful. It's like having 2 kind of Jupiter into 1 sound. That's the Juno sound. This is supersaw. We have other things happening at the same time. Is there a quick way to get rid of the others? I wish that when I'm at this level, I could have these knobs like, and just turn it off, turn off the 4 oscillators and just turn on the one I want. But, you know, I understand it was not meant to be that like that. It was created before they added this feature. But can I just turn off an oscillator that I don't want so I don't hear it? Because you have the wave, the coarse, the fine tune, the level. Of course, you put the level at 0. This one is also at 61. Let's put it at 0. And then I just have this one there. Why do I still have some effects on this? I want it dry, no effects. But when you're in supersaw, you should have control over coarse tune. Why do you have control over the differences in the supersaw? Supersaw should be multiple sawtooth. Okay. And a cross mod. Bring the second one, turn it on. That's a noise. Let's bring it to something else. Take these and I can actually take them and put them on one side. Alternate pan. Oh, this is cool. So every time you play it, it alternates between one side and the other. Or you put it on one side and you put that back to 0. I'm going to go on the next one. Because the second one is in cross modulation. That's why that's why. If you put it in cross modulation, you have the result of the cross modulation. That's it. If I turn it back off, should have them separate. Let's go back this. That's it. Now we have them separately. So if they're doing cross modulation, what you have is the result of the one that has been cross modulated, and it becomes just the mono sound. You have two oscillators creating that cross modulation. It becomes that one that you hear. Logic. Okay, so you've got the pan, you've got the delay, which is interesting to create these kind of rhythmic approach. But if you don't use the rhythmic approach for this, you can still use it to have some, like a pad. We heard some of the pad that they did, that what you do when you play first, you hear some part of the sound, and then later on another part of the sound comes in. That's also pretty interesting. But keep in mind that they're both going to use the same filter. That's it, because there's only one filter. There's no four filter. There's four oscillators, panned, delayed if you want, separately controlled, but they go into one filter and one amplifier. So it's a cool update. Let's actually go back and try just other sound. Whoops, because they took the time to make them. So what's the difference between those? Because if I look at the top here, there's no like arpeggiator. So why do we we have this, and this we have that? Let's explore this. Enter. I want to go into that. Menu, edit, single. Okay. So what do we have here? We have, okay, add the delay here. If I turn it off, does it change anything? No, so it's not this. Was it 16? Where do we have? Is it just an LFO? It could be just an LFO. It can be so simple. Let's saw down. If I change this, yeah, that's just an LFO. That's so efficient. Yeah, still very efficient. I like it. So now this is interesting because this is actually using the same logic that we just heard, that we just used like an LFO to create that movement, that kind of rhythmic arpeggiator, but we still hear the four tones coming later on. We hear the four tones. We hear the four tone playing. So this is so combining the two creates that really interesting. Really interesting. Interesting. Really cool. Now we have that hiss, and I'm pretty sure it's because we're in the... That's it. We're in the chorus mode, the Juno chorus. Now, I don't know if you knew that, but if you use the Juno chorus in the mode 1 or 2, you have the noise level of the original device. So if you don't want it, bring it down. Just have the chorus effect. But if you want to have the sound of the real chorus, it made it noise. So some people want to use it. It's still here. You have that separate control. So, but if you hear it and you don't want it, go into the chorus section, turn it back down. Now, this is what I mean when the Jupiter is a superb recreation of analog devices. They even mimics the errors, if you want, of the old things. So, interesting. This video takes too much time right now. It's becoming too long. So I'm going to do another pass for the R arpeggio. And, well, see you soon on that. I hope this is actually useful to get you to know the latest firmware update. And put your question below, and I'll see if I can experiment more with the Jupiter XM firmware update 3.0. That's it. See you soon. Bye.